It's about building the program and building a brotherhood. Anybody can teach the X's and O's of football, but it's about really digging deep.
Episode 101 featured Thomas Broschardt, the head football coach at the King School in Stamford, Connecticut. For more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe.
Coach Bro is the head football coach at the King School, which is up in Stamford, Connecticut. He's been a football coach since 2011 when he got injured in college. So to get things started, Coach, can you just share with the audience a little bit about your background and how you've ultimately gotten involved in your current role?
Absolutely. I took a long, different path to get here. My father was a coach, so I started coaching at a young age, I grew up on the sidelines. I have two younger brothers, so I helped my dad coach their teams, and I knew from a young age I wanted to be a coach. I think like everybody else in college, I started to think about the money and how to support myself. And, so when I went to Sacred Heart. First I went to high school. I went to Kellenberg. From there, I went to Sacred Heart University, where I played quarterback and wide receiver. In 2011, I was injured and couldn't play any further. So I became a student assistant there for 2 years. And when I graduated, I went into the business world, but I really wasn't happy at all. So I ended up taking a job in orthopedic service, literally just because it gave me the freedom to make my own hours, where I literally, all I did was just walk patients from the waiting room to the actual doctor's office. But it gave me the freedom to go on interviews. And then I hooked up with former Dolphin quarterback Jay Fiedler. He's also a Long Island guy like myself. And I started working for him or volunteering for him as another quarterback coach and receivers coach for personal training. From there, I got a job offer from an NAIA school in Kentucky, in Barberville, Kentucky, called Union College. The offer was to make $450 a month, and they pay for one grad class. And my girlfriend at the time, who was now my wife, and my mother thought I were both crazy. They both thought I was crazy when I took the job without speaking to either of them. When I got that job, I found an apartment for $250. I split with another GA. I worked for a great guy named Zach Willis, who had a career where he's been at Michigan State, Miami of Ohio, and a bunch of other places, and I really learned a lot. After that first year, during that first year, to give you a little bit of background, my wife came to visit, and all we had for furniture was a beanbag chair. I was sleeping on my folded clothes, and really just trying to grind and figure out how to make this work. My father got sick that next year, and I came home, and I was lucky enough to get a job at SUNY Maritime for Clayton Kendrick Holmes, who's now at Army West Point. And there I learned a different style of the game where it was triple option. And I started off as a DB coach, and then I switched to receiver coach. And then going into that second year, we started to install spread offenses, and a 24-year-old guy, I was given a lot of freedom with the offensive coordinator to try to install a whole offense. And it was really a fun time and different, and you learned on the go. From there, I hooked on with WestCon with Joe Loth, who actually just won the MASCAC Conference Championship this past year. I spent a year there learning from him and offensive coordinator Drew Owens, who is known for their RPO style, and how they communicate offensively is all by wristband. Every player has a different wristband, and it's really unique, where everything on the wristband tells you what to do. And what it really taught me there was how to get players who, let's say you're coaching in college, you're at a state school, and you're trying to figure out how to get your best athletes on the field without them learning a whole new system. This wristband system helped us to learn, where it told the receiver what to do. For an example, it might say on the wristband 1FO, which means you're number one receiver to the field, and the O tells you you're on the line of scrimmage. And then it just tells you what you're doing, what route or where you're blocking. And it was really unique because it wasn't necessarily a system you learned. It was a an act or a route or anything like that. And it was really, really unique in that way. And it got our best players on the field right away because it allowed them to play faster and not think as much. At both SUNY Maritime and WestCon, I was the recruiting coordinator as well. From WestCon, I went to Pace University. I spent 2 years there, got my master's in public administration, nonprofit. Worked for Andy Rondo, where I really learned it was more about just in the X's and O's. One of the things, he gave everybody a special team, and as a young coach, you just do everything what you learn and what you know. Where he really taught me to think more than just do what you know or what you've been taught to do. He taught me to really think and take it to the next level. From there, I had a unique opportunity to become a head coach at a high school in Stanford. It was called Trinity Catholic. My wife had gone to school there. So I took that opportunity. And after the first year, they actually closed the school because of low enrollment. From there, I went to Staples High School as the offensive coordinator, and COVID hit. So we actually, in Connecticut, we were able to play 3 or 4 games under the private league before we were shut down. And then I had a really unique opportunity to go to Bridgeport Central and restart their football program. And as a young coach still then, it was 2-3 years ago, I'm 32 right now, to restart a football program. And it was like starting from absolute scratch. We had no uniforms. We had no budgets for coaches. The first few games I coached all by myself, and we started off with the defending state champions, New Canaan.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was a learning experience to say the most, but it was great. We worked with inner city kids who I was really lucky to work with them and help build that program and try to put it right back in the right direction. Andy Rondo used to tell me, leave it better than you found it. And I believe I did. And then I got this opportunity at King came up where I used to scrimmage King when I was at Trinity Catholic. We're right down the road from each other. The dean of facilities, Tom Decker, gave me a call and said that they were interested, and they named me the athletic coordinator, equipment manager, and the head football coach. So that's where I am now. This is my first year here.
Nice. So can you tell me more about what that experience was like, just starting off a program from scratch or restarting it from scratch?
It was fun and unique. A lot of people said to me, don't take that job. It's one of the toughest jobs, if not the toughest in the state. You're starting from zero. You have everything. But that's what drove me. I'd rather build something than take something over. When I got there, nobody had opened the stadium in 2 or 3 years. And I opened it, there was jerseys soaked in water and the stadium was flooded. And I found out that. And during my time, there was a lot of setbacks. And in Bridgeport, there's some issues there with some gang-related things. And one of the things when we were rebuilding the stadium, or trying to rebuild the stadium and raising the money, somebody had broken in and vandalized the locker rooms. I was very lucky. I worked with somebody in the city, and I had 80 lockers donated to the school. So we actually had lockers then. We didn't have lockers when I got there. When I got there, we had 3 weight racks that said Staples High School on them that were donated to us. When I left, we had 18 weight racks and a brand new weight room that I wrote grants for and did everything I could just to try to raise the money. We raised about $145,000 for a new weight room.
Wow.
It was not only that, but I took over a program that had at the time was in a 40-game losing streak also when they had ended football. To try to get kids involved was very tough because, one, you had to find kids that were academically eligible. Luckily, I had a position in the school as restorative practices specialist, which when things went wrong in the school or there was any issues in the school, the kids were really sent to me. And instead of being suspended or anything, we sat down and we really dug deeper and talked about feelings and things like that, and different ways instead of just suspending kids.
Right.
And, my first 2 years there, my only 2 years there, our suspension rate went down by 45%.
Wow.
It was great on that end. And I didn't just work with just football, I worked with all students. But from the football program, we had, I got hired in July. So I had to really hustle and figure out where to get uniforms. And fortunately, I mean, some of our uniforms were mismatched. But the important thing was that I had 50 guys out there playing football.
Right.
Now, again, the struggle was I'm the only coach on the sideline. So what I would do is try to do circuit drills where I stood in the middle of the field and went around to each position. And again, there were struggles to it. We didn't have an athletic trainer. They're at practice every day. The athletic trainer was split between the three high schools, the three public schools, I should say, between Bridgeport Central and Harding High School. So we only got a trainer maybe one day a week. If something were to happen, I was taping ankles and stuff like that before practice,
Wow.
which I was taught very early on. Like, you want to try to do everything you can to make yourself indispensable. And in doing that, I learned a lot. One of the first coaches said, you'll always have a job if you could do something, other than coach. A lot of people can be taught to coach, but not everybody can do the other things.
Yeah.
Whether it's being the film coordinator, the video coordinator, which I've done in the past for multiple programs, or knowing how to use Visio or any of those things, how to draw up a playbook for a coordinator. As long as you can figure out things like that, you'll be able to succeed and
Definitely.
move on in this career.
Yeah. And just what you were talking about there with, making yourself indispensable, it actually reminded me of a book I just read called Be Useful, The 7 Tools for Life by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And he just talks about, you just basically what you were saying. I think you summed it up pretty well. Just, you know, always find, like, always add value to whatever it is that you're doing. And, it seems like from your experience, starting off as a GA, kind of, coming up through the ranks and obviously restarting a program, that's something that you learned early on, and something that I'm sure, like, as still a young guy, like only being 32, that'll serve you well in the rest of your career too.
I hope so. And I got this unique opportunity. Many people were, had said to me and have reached out. They said, "How do you jump from a program where you restarted in a public school league to a prep school league?" Um, and really, it's everybody's looking at the next job. To go back to just what you were just saying, if you do well in your one job and you do things the right way, people will find you.
Yeah.
They'll find you. You'll have a good reputation. Um, I hope I have a good reputation, and I hope I'm building it. At Trinity Catholic, another program I stepped into where we played in the toughest league in the state for public schools, and in the FCEC, and we only had 23 guys, and we played in the biggest division. Well, we were an S class school, which is the smallest, but every team we played was either an L or a double L, which is the biggest.
Okay.
And we co-opted a team so that with another school, with a tech school, a kid that never played, and we actually were the first ones in state history to be a double L team as a co-op team.
Wow.
And it was a unique experience. A lot of my experiences, it's about building the program and building a brotherhood. Anybody can teach the X's and O's of football, but it's about really digging deep. I tell my guys at King, one of the first things we had done here was we started a brotherhood night on Friday nights, which I called Fast Fridays. It was a walkthrough practice. We're done in an hour and 15. We hit everything where we do, we start on the sideline and we do a coin toss. I tell the captains what I want to go through, what I want called. We come out, we bring the defense out, we run a few plays to different formations. Then we bring the offense out, we hit the special teams, we do a sub drill, and we're off the field. From there, we go in, the boys change. We did family dinners. And I really started off those family dinners with asking them, why do they play football? What's their why?
Yeah.
And I asked them to really dig deep, other than I want to play in college, other than I want to do this, other than this. And you got some really great answers. The next two questions I asked them One was, what's your personal goal and what's your team goal? And guys really dug deep. Which, if you don't know a new coach, you can take it as a joke. I also made the coaches do this, so that everybody had some skin in the game, and so everybody could feel that. So that everybody was giving it their all. And I think that guys really went out there and played hard for each other. Um, we had a tough year at 3-7. We won our first regular season game in the last 2 years, but we were rebuilding a program and with 32 guys, and they really dug deep. And there's no JV. Well, we had a JV, but we had there's no freshman team or JV team or varsity team. It's the varsity only for freshmen to seniors. And I split some of that team, and they played JV. And we played Ironman football, and the guys really worked hard for each other, because when somebody cares, you start playing a lot harder for that person.
Definitely. And that's a reoccurring theme that I see on the podcast too, is, guys that pour into their kids and care about them more than just players. Those are the coaches that are going to get the most out of their players. And another point that we brought up that I didn't want to forget about was just thinking about process over outcome, and everything you talked about with respect to you starting up a new program, you not necessarily winning a lot of games, but leaving the program better than you found it. I think that all ties into just continuously going through the actions that are correct on a daily basis, and then eventually, whether it be like winning games, or just like you were saying, like actually starting up this new program and leaving it in a better way, you'll reach that desired outcome. So I thought that was another cool topic, that at least theme that you brought up in your conversation.
Absolutely. One of the things is, people think that we live in this society of, I call it microwave ready. Everybody wants things right away. And
Yeah.
some things it's a process. A lot of times the things that happen right away don't last. I mean, there are some things that do. There's outliers to everything. When I first started coaching, when I first got my first head coaching position, uh, there was a coach I reached out to. I'd never worked with the coach. I took a shot. I reached out to him on Twitter or X, and his name is Brennan Marion. Brennan Marion is the offensive coordinator at UNLV currently. He was at William and Mary. He was at Howard. He started programs. He played for the Dolphins for a little bit, and he played at Tulsa. And he's known for the go-go offense, really unique, different type of offense. If you watch UNLV, and they had a really successful year this past year. But when, not knowing me from anybody, I could have walked by him in the street. He wouldn't know who I am. But I just took a shot and DM'd him, because I thought, everything I had heard about his career and the process, I thought was amazing. And we're talking about a coach who's an offensive coordinator at the time at, I believe, a CAA school. He said, "Not a problem, coach. Here's my cell phone number. Let's make time. I can call you before practice at 6:55. And I said, "Not a problem. I'll be up." And he really talked about process and how important it is. Kids, the biggest thing I'll tell any coach, everybody wants to be somebody. They pretend they're Nick Saban, or they look up to Nick Saban or Lane Kiffin or any of these guys. If you look at any of those guys, the big thing they all have in common is they're unapologetically themselves.
Yeah.
And I would say to any coach, be yourself. Kids can smell the BS a mile away. They can tell if you're faking it. They can tell if you're trying to pretend something to be something you're not, and they can sniff it out right away. I'm a fan of Lane Kiffin offensively, but he is unapologetically himself. Whether it's on Twitter or X, whatever it is, whether it's in interviews, and same thing with Nick Saban and a lot of these great coaches. They're unapologetically themselves. They're not worried about what other people think of them. And I think that, no matter what it is, whether you're quirky or whatever, if you live by that, the kids will believe in you. And if you set a process and show them the step by step, they'll understand it and they'll see it. If you try to sit there and BS them, they're not going to see it and they're not going to follow you. You got to show, somebody told me once, and I'm sure you've heard this before, kids don't care about what you know until they know that you care about them.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And, any coach I would tell that wants to interview for a coaching job or anything like that, set up a process. Reach out if you have a mentor to that mentor. Talk that process through. Not all processes are the same. You're not all going to agree. But, what's important to you? To me, I said from the beginning, I wanted a family bond and a background here. Um, here at King, you get other schools who try to poach your kids left and right. To me, it's important that they know I care about them, and they know that one, whether if they have an opportunity to go somewhere that I feel is a better place, then I'm going to help you get there. I want to do what's best for you, because at the end of the day, I don't want you to sit here and be upset at me for a wasted opportunity, or feel you lost an opportunity. I want you to go explore that opportunity and do what's best for you. Like, everybody says they want to fight for their kids to keep them. But if my kid has a better opportunity here, if one of my players has a better opportunity, why not let them go chase that opportunity?
Right.
I want guys who want to be here, but if you have an opportunity that's going to put you in a position to maybe go to an Ivy League school where you didn't have that opportunity, go for it. Or go chase your dream of an FBS school, go for it.
Right. No, I 100% agree there. And I really like what you were just talking about, just being yourself, because, because you see it all the time. There's coaches out there, there's celebrities out there that people always try to be like. And, if you're just yourself and you focus on what you know is true, and you continue to put in the work and improve what you need to improve on, like you're going to, as a coach, be successful in whatever it is that you're like going towards. So I really like that statement.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go back to our brotherhood nights, like my coaching staff here is it's a funny group of guys. We got guys that we keep it loose, and I try to keep it loose with the kids. Yes, I can be, tough on them, and I work hard with them. But like on one of our brotherhood nights, we did a skit night where they were able to make fun of the coaches and like make fun of our quirkiness. And I think one of the things one of the things they made fun of about me was that one of the kids made fun that it said I wore my khaki pants too tight one day, and things like that. But the fact that they made it feel comfortable just to do things like that is really important to me, because you
Yeah.
be yourself, and it's tough enough to live in this world and try to be something you're not. Well, to be something that you are. So to pretend to be something that you're not is even tougher.
Right.
There's a lot of people say, "Oh, you're weird," or things like that. And I tell kids, heck, I'm weird all the time. Like you gotta just own it and live it and go by it and be who you're supposed to be. And I think the kids will really enjoy you for that and really respect you for that.
Yes, sir. Well, really appreciate you sharing all that, Coach. Any last words you want to share with the audience today?
Yeah, I really had a great time being on this. And any other time that if you have a different topic or anything else, or if you'd like to have one of my assistants on, I'd love to have them. I really respect everything you do. So thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for being on, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching today's episode. For more information about Coach Tool's player grading system, visit CoachToolsLLC.com.